Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this RynoWorx instructional video. This video will show you how to change the main seal on one of our spray systems with an aluminum pump. Here's the things you're going to need. You're going to need about 20 to 30 minutes to complete this job. You're going to need a 10mm socket or wrench, a 12mm socket or wrench, a 7/8 socket, optionally with an adapter to fit into an impactor, and then also the impactor, that's optional, but electrical tape, that is also optional, a mallet, a small flat screwdriver, the seal replacement kit, which you're going to need some paper towel, you're going to need a clean rag, you're going to need your safety gloves, you're going to need a special tool made out of 1.5-inch ABS pipe. I chose ABS pipe because it is cheap, easy to get, and many of you may already have scraps of it laying around. It doesn't have to be this, but a 1.5-inch ABS pipe has the perfect inner diameter. I will explain more about this later in the video. Optionally, you can also have some industrial sealant, and also optionally, you can have a drill with a wire wheel if you have a lot of gunk built up around any of the seals, and some blue thread locker. Okay, everybody, let's get started here with our 12mm socket. And you're going to see there's 4 bolts around the perimeter. So just go ahead and loosen those in no particular order. And once they are all out, go ahead and remove the main housing from the pump. Be sure to be careful. There is a gasket here, so just make sure it isn't torn and set that off safely to the side. Now take your 10mm socket and we're going to remove these 3 bolts that hold the impeller cover in place. Once you've got these 3 bolts off, just go ahead and put the cover off to the side in a safe place. So now we're going to grab our 7/8 socket, and I'm going to use it on an impactor here. You can do it with a ratchet, and we're going counterclockwise to loosen this. I'm doing little bursts, not one big one, and you'll see that eventually it starts to loosen up, and then we're going to unscrew it. And you can see here is half the seal, and we'll set that off to the side to remove later. So now we're going to remove these 4 bolts with the 12mm socket. So go ahead and loosen them. It doesn't matter which order you loosen them in. Just notice that when you take them off, these each have a washer on them. So be careful to make sure you don't lose the washers. And when you take the plate off, you're going to see there's 2 spacer washers on the main shaft here. So just make sure you don't damage or lose those. Okay, so now we're going to remove the 2 halves of the seal. For the first half, grab your flat screwdriver and just pry it out. There's going to be a plastic nylon part and then a rubber part. Make sure you get both of them out of there. And for the other half, what I've done here is I've got the largest socket that I could find that fits in the opening here. So there's a cavity that limits how large an item you can put in here. So this is the biggest socket I could find, and just go ahead and hit it with the mallet until it comes out. You may have to hit it a few times. So now we're going to talk about the ABS tool that I made. So this is literally just a piece of 1.5 inch ABS that I ground down the outside to shave it to about half of its thickness. And the reason that we had to do that is it basically will not fit into that opening. So you can see that I've shaved it down about halfway and it just barely fits. And then here, if you look on the outside, it's the perfect diameter to press fit the replacement seal into the housing. Okay, so let's talk about this tool. So I used ABS plastic because it's easy to find and it's very cheap. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you may even have scrap pieces lying around. So it's incredibly cheap and it's the perfect size. All I did was grab the biggest socket I could find that fit inside the opening and wrapped it with electrical tape until it was really snug. And basically, once that happened, I press fit it into the top and made this contraption that I could have on my drill. And then I just took it to the grinder and I proceeded to turn it while the grinder was spinning. I was pretty pleased with myself till one of my coworkers pointed out, hey, you could have just done it by hand. So whichever option is best for you, you can give that a whirl. And you could always use a sander, like an orbital sander instead of a grinder if you don't have one. All right, so let's talk about seals. You're going to need the GCM0047 kit for this. I am not going to use a new kit. I'm going to reuse the old one for the purposes of this demonstration. So The seal kit here, it's important that these two halves stay very clean. You don't want any debris or grit or anything on there. So go out of your way to make sure that you don't touch the ends and keep everything clean. All right, so we're going to press fit this into the rear plate, and we're going to use our handy dandy tool, and we are going to give it a few whacks um, with the tool and make sure that it's press fit into position. You want to go ahead and double check it, and you're going to notice here I need to give it a little bit more on one side. So don't be afraid to check it and make sure that it is flush. Being flush is the most important part. Okay, for the other half of the seal, first of all, you're going to want to clean out the impeller if there's anything in here. And this is where you're going to put industrial sealant if you have chosen to add it. So go ahead and press fit that in there. Just place it there, cover it with a paper towel. Try not to touch the top and give it a couple of whacks with your mallet. You don't need to hit it very hard. You could, in fact, probably press fit it in by hand. Okay, so now it's time to attach the plate back to the engine, and you'll notice that it's taller at the top than at the bottom. So make sure you line those up. And this is where we're taking our totally real thread locker, and we're going to put a drop on each bolt before we put it in here. Now you're going to want to tighten these just so they're snug, almost finger tight, and then you're going to want to actually tighten them down further and use a cross pattern. So do one and its opposite, then rotate 90 degrees, and then its opposite. No specific torque setting, just good and snug. So now we're going to thread on the impeller. Start it by hand. You don't want to start it with the impactor. You can do this with a ratchet. I like the impactor because it does small concussive blows, but you can do it with a ratchet. Now we're going to clean off the seal, and we're going to put the impeller cover back on. And you will notice that the vanes line up with outlines on the casing, and there is one longer bolt, and it is on the upper left here. It only fits in one place. And this is your 10 millimeter socket. And we're just going to snug and then go around in a circle. And then we're going to torque them down, not torque them, but nice and snug. So now is the time that you can wipe off where this gasket goes. And we're going to put the housing cover on. And there are 4 bolts here. You can put thread locker on here. You do not have to, but you can since you already have it. And essentially we're going to go around cross pattern again. We're going to go snug, just snug, and then cross pattern snug, and then we're going to go around until you will see where the 2 metal surfaces will actually mate together, and then you're going to give it one last little nudge. All right, thanks everybody for watching this RynoWorx instructional video. Hopefully this will help you get back up and running more quickly. If you have any questions about what we've done or any other RynoWorx products, please head to our website, www.rynoworx.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.